Next item on the agenda are the minutes. Are there any corrections or amendments to the minutes?
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda are accounts. There's no vote required. If you have any questions on our accounts, please give us the page number and line item.
I just noticed, I think item 10 and item 73 at least were points where our fuel man card was apparently not working for a couple of different people. We having much difficulty with that?
Well, the local station was having a little trouble, plus we have some cards that were damaged, and the magnetic strip hadn't read properly, so we replaced the cards, and now we don't seem to be having any problems, to my knowledge. I think even one day we had to send the mayor out to the Shell place to resolve an issue.
Any other questions on the accounts? Okay, next item on the agenda, delegations. Anyone would like to address the city council on any issue dealing with the city, please come forward.
I got one question,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
And it'd be directed mostly by figurative Carter Scales. I understand that his fellows work really hard. I have usually no issue with it. But my question has to do with why garbage cans that are empty now find a place in the middle of Sanford Road, and we get to play dodge 'em with them as we're trying to make our way to work.
Sometimes it's just, when they put the cans down, the wind blowing, it blows the cans out in the road. That's what happens sometimes.
Well, there have been a couple of times that I've stopped and put neighbors' cans off the road so the other folks following behind me wouldn't crush them or run over them, whatever, because 2 years ago I lost all of mine.
Well, we'll handle it. I'll
Yes,
make
sir.
sure that they are put in the drive.
You got it.
Are there any other questions or anything else? Okay. All right, let's start with the budget. Next item is first item is item D, discuss and consider passage of the 23-24 city budget and tax rate ordinance on the first reading. Jim.
We've had several budget meetings, with most all the members present, at some or all of them, and we've gone through the budget with all the department heads and come back with this recommendation based on all the meetings. You will notice that the format of this budget ordinance is totally different than what we've seen in the past. That's because now the comptroller requires you to use their format and their wording and their spreadsheets inside of the budget ordinance. My argument's always been, normally when you pass laws, I've never known of a law that you have to list previous year's estimates or current year's estimates and previous year's actual numbers in an ordinance for next year. That really don't make sense to me, but that's what the comptroller requires, so that's the reason it's now 6 pages long instead of 2. If you have any questions about any of the budgets, feel free to ask me. We do have 2 different documents. One is the city budget with all the different departments. The other ordinance we'll be considering in a minute is the ARP budget, which is a separate ordinance. I kept it separate and didn't put them all together in case there were any questions. But I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And the detailed budget, of course, is following this ordinance, all the different information, and it all matches the spreadsheets as you see.
So the tax rate same as was last year?
Actually, we dropped that long decimal place. You know, last year with the certified rate, they carried 4 decimal places, making it a .0001. We got rid of the .001, so it's an even 90 cents now, which is the tax rate for the coming year.
Well, having attended all the meetings and discussing in detail, and this is the same thing we worked at our work session, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this ordinance for the budget for beginning July 2023 and running to the end of June 30th, 2024, as you have it written, that and the tax rate.
I have a motion to approve on the first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Are there any discussions on the ordinance? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Maines?
Yes.
All voted in favor.
Okay. That ordinance passes on the first reading. We'll have it back up for the second reading next month. Next item on the agenda is item E, discuss and consider passage of the ordinance approving expenditures of the American Rescue Plan we call ARP funds on the first reading. Jim?
Same format for the most part, with the spreadsheet in the middle of it about the ARP budget. Of course, we are planning on spending the entire amount next year. At the last meeting, there was discussion and we were going to use the remainder of the money for street paving. The detail that is not included in the ordinance, because that's the way they want it, but is included in the budget report on the last couple pages, is the ARP budget. If you have any questions, it will give you a better breakdown of the items that's going to be purchased with the funds, included finishing out the City Hall project, doing some administration of GIS computer equipment. We have some bulletproof vests for the police department, 2 police cars. Let me see. We have 5 SCBA plus turnout gear for the fire department. We do have an air compressor for public works and utilities. And the street paving money ended up to be $159,000. And then we also have a utility vehicle for the city park of $25,000. So that is the plan for the expenditure of the ARP funds.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass the ordinance for the ARP budget on the first reading.
Have a motion to pass the ARP ordinance on the first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Maines?
Yes.
All voted in favor.
Okay. Now, this reading, we'll do the second reading next month.
There's a public hearing, the required.
And also, we have, that's right, we got a public hearing, we got to do that.
Well, it's both budgets. We'll have
Both
public
budgets.
hearings.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item F, consider resolution approving the cost of living increase as well as the adjustment standard pay scales for all city employees. Jim?
Over several months, we've been meeting to discuss pay scales and COLAs for the city employees. And we went through several different meetings on this, made adjustments, and kept bringing it back and forth. And we finally came to agreement at the last meeting of what to present, and that is what is in front of you for each department. Everybody citywide is guaranteed a cost of living adjustment of 4%. Y'all gave the department heads some discretion to use the another 2% to spread between the employees to make the pay scales work better. And so that was done with y'all's approval, and those pay scales are all attached. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. We do still have the Christmas bonus pay included in this of $50 per year. And as discussed last meeting and approved, we do have the special one-time bonus of additional $25 per year for the employees also, and that is in section 4. We did increase the judge's annual salary by $600. He hadn't had an increase since he took the position. He doesn't get the COLA or the bonus pay. And then we also increased the meeting fees for the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals from $25 a meeting to $50 a meeting. And that is in section 5 and 6. And everything in here will go into effect starting June 26th, which will be basically the first payroll of the new year, new budget year.
You know, I think one of the discussions we had was starting salary for any department, Jim, and we,
Starting salary for all positions now is going to be $16 an hour.
Took off that last
We
one.
dropped the last scale.
the scale, trying
And we
to.
dropped the lower scale and made the, you know, with the way employment is now trying to find applicants, we were not competitive. And so this was a move to try to be more competitive in all departments. So, of course, some departments starting pay, of course, is higher than that, but that is the minimum in utilities and public works and city park, et cetera.
We don't have to address in here, I guess we don't, about CDLs, that's addressed on the.
It's all addressed in the pay scale.
Okay.
Yeah, all that is included in the pay scale.
Okay.
And of course, you know, as discussed, the utility pay scale now has certain requirements you have to meet to get the steps.
Right.
Through
And
the
whether it be-
certification, CDL, et
Like
cetera.
Carter doesn't have to have it, but he does,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
he's compensated.
No, he won't, because he's a
He won't,
department.
But somebody is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Having said all that, again, all sections, section 1 through 6, I would like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution for that 4% COLA plus the additional 2% that the department heads have the discretion, as well as all the other detail and the bonus, as well as the judge's salary, upping the planning commission, and changing for this one-time bonus of the special bonus in section 4. So all sections look to be exactly what we spoke about.
Yeah.
And then I have a motion to approve the cost of living increase and all adjustments. Do I have a second on the resolution?
Second.
I have a second on the resolution. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Phelps? Yes. Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
All voted in favor.
Resolution passes. The next item on the agenda is item G, discuss, consider the approval of the matching retirement rate for 2023-24 budget year. Jim?
Each year, the city has to approve a matching rate for the retirement, and this is on gross salaries for everybody that's a full-time employee citywide. It's not like a 401K, and I think we've explained this before, but to just make it clear, we're not matching individuals' contributions by this percentage. This matches the entire group of salaries. This is a defined benefit plan, not a defined contribution plan. They are different. But anyway, they do an actuary study each year. The actuary came back and said our minimum rate we've got to match is 7.01% of salary. We have always, and I recommend again that we choose an optional higher contribution to hedge off future increases. You know, one time we were way up, what, 16, almost 17% retirement match. So it has come down, and this will keep it from going back up. But I would do recommend that we match at 10% again, which is the same thing we've done this past time, and continue to do that in hopes that we keep the rate down and it doesn't exceed the 10% in the future, at least for the next many years. But the way stock market is, and when I say stock market, because they make investment stock market and different things to make part of this money back for the retirees, that we're hoping this will hedge off any future increase.
Make a motion that we match the retirement rate of 10% for the FY '24 budget.
And that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item H, consider approval of the audit contract for this year ending June 30th, 2023 with ATA. Jim?
Okay, something new again this year, thanks to the comptroller. Tennessee Comptroller's Office for years has been trying to get municipalities to change to a standard chart of accounts. That's the account numbers we use for all our accounts in our financial system. We are very close to what their requirement is, but it really makes no difference in this situation. Because they were never able to get this passed statewide, they come up with something that did get passed through the legislature, which means that you have to convert your final numbers after your audit to a crosswalk, basically, that gives them the information they want in the format with the ledger numbers they want, not individually, but as a group, collectively. And what they use this for is because statewide, they love statistics and be able to show all sorts of statistics. And they do this for counties already and have been for several years. You can go on the Comptroller website and see the statistics. But they want it where they can just drop it into their system and it produce all these statistics for them and graphs and all sorts of other things where they can compare city to city and, you know, this year to last year, etc. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there's a cost involved with that. So, this year, the estimate for the audit from ATA is $30,300 for the base audit, $4,000 for single audit fee, which we will have because of ARP and TDEC monies, which is still ARP, but funneled through TDEC, plus the crosswalk to get the funds in their spreadsheet the way the comptroller wants them is an additional $4,000. So that's $38,300.
We don't have a choice in that.
Huh?
We don't have.
Really, we have no choice
Yeah.
in doing it because it's now required. This year is the first year this crosswalk is being required.
Is that a
They're requiring the auditor to do the crosswalk.
Yes, the auditor does crosswalk, yes. Mhm.
Well, at least you don't have to.
Well,
Is this a one-time crosswalk expense?
they won't have to do it every year. What I hope, maybe between me and Alicia, once we learn more about the comptroller system, we may be able to convert our chart of accounts to make it match theirs, which may lower our cost or make it go away. I don't know, that's something I gotta discuss with the auditor. See, it's all new to them too. This is the first year any of them has done the crosswalk. So it's all new, so everybody's learning together exactly how they want to put this together. But it has been coming, we knew it was coming for some time, that there was a cost. And they delayed even sending out the estimate for the audit because they were waiting for information from the comptroller for them to determine what all was going to be required and before they even put a dollar figure.
Is this going to delay the audits much?
No, it's not. It cannot delay the audit according to the comptroller. It's got to be done. That's still supposed to be filed by December 31st.
And we know substantially from previous years, is that because we've actually got the two budgets, the ARPA and
Yeah, the single audit amount, now the crosswalk all been added. If you look at the base amount, it hadn't gone up that much.
but the ARPA will go away.
It should go away, probably gonna be 2 to 3 more years though.
Yeah.
Because
well,
as soon as we finish ARPA on what we have, then we're running through TDEC ARPA, so that's gonna continue because it's still grant funds you're receiving. That you're gonna be above that federal limit that you do have to do the single audit.
Base audit only went up about $1,400.
Yeah, the base audit didn't go up much.
5%, really, a
Yeah.
little less than 5%.
Their part was
Of course,
good.
this past year, we had to do single audit. This year, we know we gotta do a single audit. And I'm figuring at least 3 more years. Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve ATA, the audit contract for the coming year, given their estimated cost.
We have a motion to approve the contract. Do I have a second?
Second.
And seconds, any discussion on the contract? I will say one word. The state's always been proud to tell us they don't do any unfunded mandate. This is an unfunded mandate. So at this time, I'll take our motion. All in favor signify by yes?
Yes.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carries.
Grudgingly, yes.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, next item on the item is item I. Consider an action on a resolution to grant Henderson Municipal and Regional Planning Commission to authorize and delegate approval of a 2-track lot subdivision plat to the building official. Before I open the public hearing, I would let Brent go ahead and explain what this is.
Yes, sir. This is a new mandate by the state, I guess you could say.
No.
This is something that we've been doing for 10 to 15 years. We've always allowed the administrative approvals done in-house, which would be up to a 2-lot split So if you took one piece of property and split it into two, it met all of our requirements, we could do that in-house without going to the planning commission. If you took a lot and split a piece off and sold it to your neighbor, that would be something that we would do in-house. So the, I guess the General Assembly passed House Bill 2534, which would allow planning commissions in the state of Tennessee to delegate a person responsible for doing this in the planning staff or their planning region. They can do it in the region or the municipal, and there is a certain criteria. The state allowed you to go up to 25 lots. We discussed that, and we determined we'd stay with the 2 lots that we've been doing. The subdivision has to comply with all the regulations that are set forth in our subregs. There can be no request for a variance on that particular subdivision. And then the division, if it requires a new road or utility addition, construction, then that one could not be done as a simple 2-lot split. So this is basically us doing the same thing that we've been doing for years. We're just now getting the blessing of the state along with everybody else in the state of Tennessee.
At this time, I call the public hearing open. Does anybody would like to address this issue, pro or con, or please come forward and do so. Seeing none, at this time I close the public hearing, and at this time I'll turn it over to the city council.
Just a question, make sure I heard you right. You're gonna keep doing what you've been doing,
Absolutely.
but not the 25 or
No, they discussed that, maybe even going up to a 5-lot, and the determination of the plan commission was if it's a 2-lot simple split to expedite and speed up the process, we can do that. But if you got to be more than that, then bring it to the plan commission.
I will say that Brent always, the time I've been serving on the planning commission board, it's been, you've always shared with us exactly what the administrative actions were of the 2-lot split. It wasn't something that was done and nobody knew about it.
Right.
And it always met all the regs.
Correct. When we do one, we'll put it in next month's, put it on the agenda, show it to the plan commission, let them know what we did. It's just kind of another layer of protection for us.
It's time now to enter a motion for the pass the resolution.
Make that motion.
Have a motion to pass the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Phelps, Mr. Barber,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Butler,
yes.
Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Payne.
Yes.
All voted in favor.
Okay, next item is item J. If y'all remember last we talked about it, but we never did, I never got y'all to vote on it. As a matter of fact, Marty's already getting the stuff from Beverly to be on the county equalization board. We need to go ahead and prove him that he's on the equalization board.
Last.
Marty retired and didn't retire. I think Brett's finding stuff to do all the time.
We got to keep it busy.
This time I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to appoint Marty Watson as city representative to the county equalization board.
Have that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same from none. Motion carried. Next item is Carter. Got for you the update on the sidewalk rehab project.
We have tore it out, and due to the weather, they should be here by Monday to, open.
Who did you operate that?
It's El Salvador out there,
Yeah,
on the highway.
I know.
Now, one thing I do want us to look at, take some of these, some of we kind of, I think we dodged some of them this time. But I really want to look at some of these driveways that have got to be repaired. I know when you get on North Street, I know 2 or 3 on North Street, that's got to be repaired. I know the human house, I always call it the human house. That one's all crushed and everything else. And I kind of want to see how that's going to look anyway, how we're going to do that.
If we see something that, can we?
Yes, matter of fact, yeah, you can give it to him or give it to me or something. I tell you what I'd like to do, And Tony Highsmith did the other day, he found one that we missed on Second Street, just right off by the funeral home that broke up. Just take us a shot of it, send it to us and give us the location. And we'll add that to the list, you see
I
something.
have a list, and I can see y'all are already working on some of it. so.
Yeah, if you see something we missed, if you see something that, you see it, the good thing is when you go, we've been doing this example, talking about North Street. You go down North Street and you miss something on North Street, and you see it's already got columns, we've already dug it out.
Yeah.
Shoot that picture and send it back to us and let us know you missed something.
Okay.
We pretty well just took out everything that's a hazard to tripping and stuff like that. That's what we started on.
After this, will we have enough funds left in this year's budget to maybe do some more?
Yes, we can do some stuff in here.
Right now, we at about, it's about $8,000 worth is what we got now, that's with the labor.
Y'all program,
Concrete.
Yeah.
No, it was appropriated next year, we're using paving money.
paving money this year, so we can do another job this year.
Yeah, we
And also
definitely
do some after
Well,
July.
then we can start looking at second, third.
Yeah, yes,
fourth.
you can look at all that's kind of the goal. Okay, anything else on that? Okay, in other business, Juneteenth, if y'all noticed, we in last year's budget appropriated $1,000, and we're also in this year's budget, we appropriated for next year $1,000. So I'm asking Jim if he'd reach out to them and make sure it's going on, so we can go ahead and pay. So there's nothing we need to do with that, you've already approved it in your budget. And we're just gonna reach out to them and make sure everything's going on and
Still
coordinate.
have-
Yeah, we coordinate with them, because we want, I think we said in the budget process, you want to pay that out each May before the Juneteenth, and that's what we're planning on doing there.
Yeah, they gotta have it a month in advance.
Yeah, so we're reaching out to them on that.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Chief, you got anything?
On behalf of the police department, I want to thank the board for the raises that they have our guys. That's all.
Ditto for my department.
All of
You're a
you?
big part of it.
My sentiments exactly, but also, we've got our application approved through TDEC for the ALP money. One of the projects that was already engineered and approved by Engineering the State was North Avenue. As soon as we get the contract with the state, I'd like to get the board to vote to give us the permission to go ahead and get that project bid and get that project, underway. And we had a budget in our ARP application, things like that for that project. So, the money's actually coming from that grant for that project. We want to, not delay that and go ahead and get permission to go ahead and start that as soon as the state gives us a green light and a contract.
Are you suspecting that within 30 days, 60 days, or?
We had the risk meeting today, which was my understanding was one of the first things that had to happen. And then after the risk meeting, when they reviewed that, then they would issue us a contract and then we could get started on the project. And according to them, out of the hundreds of projects, we were the very first one to go through this risk assessment. And
Look at us.
whether good or bad or whatever, they said if they had additional questions and things like that. But I think that went very well today, I think. And so, really not sure exactly what all the other requirements was. I was led to believe that a contract would be coming fairly soon. And rather than wait until, another board meeting or whatever, I'd like, since we've got this project already engineered, we've got this project already TDEC approved through their engineering, and it's pretty much ready to go, so I'd like to go ahead and get that project started if we can, and that would be up to TDEC, look at exactly when we can pull the trigger and start the advertising, things like that. It would be advertised, it would be bid, and we would go through the same as we would with any large project.
Well, we're ready when you're ready.
So
So
I'm assuming
basically,
what you're asking for is a motion to allow you to go to bid when TDEC lets us go to bid.
That's correct.
well, I'll make that, that we give Darrell the authority to put it out for bid as soon as the contract is made available.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no.
The other item that I wanted to do is I wanted to ask permission to proceed with a pilot project for, at the lagoons, we're feeding a disinfection, and then we're feeding you read chlorine as a disinfection, then we're feeding a dechlorine, which has probably cost us 3 times what the chlorine's costing us. I've been talking to the state for probably since 2016 about going to peracetic acid, which is a product that's a lot more effective than chlorine. You don't have to dechlor, feed any other chemical. It would reduce our cost drastically. But before TDEC will give approval to do that, you've got to go through a pilot project. And so I've talked to several people with TDEC. They're ready to start allowing, they've changed engineers with the state. So they're open to allowing some pilot projects. And of course, during that pilot project, we would be feeding peracetic acid instead of chlorine, which would start saving us money as soon as the pilot project starts.
And the quality of our water still,
This will be on the wastewater side. This doesn't affect the
Not
drinking water
drinking.
side at all. This is strictly wastewater on the lagoons.
okay. You scared me.
Not changing the drinking.
So you're needing a motion, asking for a motion to
Right,
approve
go
your
ahead
pilot
and
project.
proceed with the pilot project.
It's approved by TDEC.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed signify by no.
And one last issue.
Okay,
We got a notice of violation on the North Lagoon. And the violations were primarily summertime. The majority of the violations, there were like 15 violations in the month of October, which, unlike a lot of summers, usually the dry weather's in the August, September timeframe. We had the driest and clearest weather in October that we've had in several years. And those algae related, you have a nutrient-rich water, you have sunshine, you have shallow lagoons. What we probably will have to do is, and we had some money set aside in this ARP money to address these issues, but I just wanted to make you aware of that.
How do you address that? What do you do?
You can put, there's products out there now to shade it, basically to block the sunlight from getting into the water itself. A lot of, if you read up on just about every article you read, promotes mixing, promotes aerators, things like that. But these lagoons, like normal lagoons now, the design is for like 20, 25 feet. And so you can actually stir it and get the water that's clear from the bottom up to the top. Our lagoons were 5 feet deep when they were built, so if
We
you
don't have
stir
that.
it, you're going to create all the solids that have settled. You're going to create a worse issue than you've got now. So some type of shading would probably be about the only way to handle it without going and redesigning, rebuilding the lagoon. So that's something we'll study, and that's something, we've got to do a risk management type plan, and that's something we've got already in the ARP money going forward, the best thing to do to address these issues. And we've got executive orders on South Lagoon and this.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Chief.
First of all, not to work, get that at the same time. Thank you guys for the budget and stuff. Next thing, I was just gonna ask for permission to authorize the employees of the fire department, this is a more house plan we had in the past, to use the secondary pickup truck. I just wanted to ask the board for permission for that.
You talk to everybody, like,
I didn't have a chance to talk to everybody.
You're talking about travel class.
Yeah, Travis class, the deputy chief will use it, periodically, just about anything, be able, the employees, if they were leaving 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, they wouldn't have to get up at 4,
come get the.
4:30 or whatever, come into town, get the truck, leave their vehicle there, they will be able to get that truck to our house, just leave directly from our house. Just nice to get stuff.
motion to authorize the chief to do that. We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All those signify by no. Motion carries. Carter?
And I also would like to thank the board for our raises too.
Jim?
Of course, thank the board for working with the budget. I think we did good working the way through the budget and pay raises. I hate to rain on Daryl's parade, but we dealt with TDEC and stayed long enough to know that we're not gonna be ready to go in 30 days. But we're pushing every single thing we can back out the same day we're getting it to try to get it done. We got documents today about now having to prove the procurement for our engineer met their standards. We had to do it twice already.
You're right.
So there's gonna be some steps we still have to get approval, even if we get that contract. We're trying to get it done before that contract gets our door. We're working every day. I had to sit through Title VI classes again yesterday because I hadn't had one since October. So I had to sit through another class. It was a Zoom thing, so I just had to sit through it and answer a bunch of questions. Wasn't no problem, but it's 45 minutes, but I did it the day we got notice that we had to get it done. Mayor's was still good because he did it in January.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, things like that, there's so many steps you have to go through to get that approval to go to bid, but we're gonna do it as fast as we can.
Alicia? No? Michael? Keith?
Two quick questions. One is just a curiosity on the timeline on getting the City Hall renovation finally finished.
We are starting to wind down.
It's kind of like a tale.
It's starting to go back together a little bit. It's looking better. There's still a lot of little stuff that has to be done. We're having a little trouble right now getting the wood trim folks back in here to get that done. As you can see, pretty much the entire building, the wood trim hadn't been done, put back up like in this room. But we are getting there. We hope that a lot's going to get done in the next 2 weeks. They are making strides. I'm running into little problems getting my data and voice people back to get the final punch down on that side of it. The blind people are supposed to be here next week. The projector people are supposed to be here next week. So yes, we're getting closer, but we are still having trouble and getting run around about getting furniture for the new rooms. But that's not going to hold up and, getting everybody back where they belong. But we are still working with that. I mean, the mayor already discussed it again today. It looks like we're just going to go out for bid. The people that have state contracted aren't being receptive to talking to us at all. I don't know why. But anyway, we're just going to go out to bid and maybe have bids for y'all at the next meeting and go in and get that stuff done. But we're hoping, they keep saying end of the month. I don't think we'll quite make it the end of the month. We're probably looking at the middle of June, I'm guessing.
Well, the windows are holding it up over here, they're not leaking in, what it's doing. That's a good thing.
Good testing.
The second question was for, I guess, the police chief. I know we've got it, maybe Tim, since he handles that. I understand that we're set to get the new patrol units after the first of the year. Is that, first of July?
We're hoping that we'll have them before July 1st. We're hoping. Right.
Yes, sir.
They're willing to hold them and we pay them out of the new budget year.
Right.
What are we trading in for that?
We will.
Is that the Tauruses?
Yes, sir.
We'll have 2 Tauruses that we're trading in.
Some of the Tauruses are just curious, that's all.
We'll have all the Tauruses off the active fleet. Once they get here, we'll have 2 as backup cars, and that's all we'll have for the Tauruses.
That's all the questions I have,
I just wanted to make a comment to say thank y'all for helping us work on the budget. Every time we ask you for something, or you were quick to get it to us. And I'm glad, as everybody's glad, that when we do well and have it, we can share it. And it makes us happy when we can do that and not have to say, this is a terrible year, and we maybe can't do so much. So we're all really, all of us had that same sentiment. When we have a good year, we want you all to have a good year as well. When you can do things and not have to raise taxes and things like it, it's a wonderful year. So
You're not trying to cut everything to make the budget like 08 or something.
Yeah, oh, wait, yeah, that was bad time.
Chief Davis and Assistant Chief Crowe had several members of the community, county, and city want to thank you guys for the extra presence at the ballpark and being visible.
Well, I got a few words I want to say before we leave. This is my 15th budget. But I really want to thank the council, really, and the department heads for what they've done. We have not raised taxes since 2009. And if you remember that year and how tough it was, but we turned around 2015, 2016 and reduced them back what we raised them because of the sales tax. But I appreciate the department heads and what they've done over the last 15 years. We sit down and we work on these budgets, and we were realistic. We all realize that at the end of the day, it's one pot of money. We don't get tunnel vision, only think about ourselves. We also realize we're obligated to the employees, but we're just equally obligated to the taxpayers we represent. But one person I do want to thank, Jim Garland. And I think all y'all got to know, we can only get mad at him sometimes, but do it. Jim, when he gives our budget, he does a very conservative outlook on what our revenue is going to be, and really pushes out what our expense is going to be out very far. And doing that over the years, we've gotten to the point where we don't, if we can't afford it under that kind of budget, we don't do it. And that's the reason we are where we are right now, with about a $2.2 million fund balance, because we live within our means. And I go back to one instance we had, and it's minor, but if you think about our mindset, this is what it was. We set the budget meeting, and Keith Smith was upset because we missed his favorite undesignated by $2,000. He cut my budget $2,000 to get that undesignated. But I realized, it's that mindset we have to do that, to be conservative, but also do things. And that's the reason this year we're in a state we can do. You look at all the projects we're doing this year and what we're doing. We started a very important thing, of restructuring our salaries this year. And when nobody comes in the city unless they're making $16 an hour. To me, that's very important, because Chief, Carter, Darrell, they all can tell you they're fighting trying to get people to come to work here, and we've got to be competitive. With Blue Oval coming and all this thing coming, we've got to be competitive. And this is one of the things we've done, and I'm very appreciative of this board recognizing that too. And we really looked at it really hard, how can we make us more competitive to bring people in to work here. And like I say, this is definitely a team effort. I mean, everybody got involved here, and I'm very appreciative. And sometimes I have to admit, Jim Garland is, the anchors don't fall very far from the tree. Your daddy was the same way. But
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Jim, I told Jim the other day, he's like a referee. He doesn't try to, he'll do what he can do, but he'll tell you the truth, and the good or the bad. You're going to get the good or the bad. And as long as he does that, we can make good decisions. And we very, very much appreciate it, Jim.
Yeah, he hides nothing. He
Well,
puts
thank
it
you.
all on the
Even
table.
though Tim Faulkner many years ago said he's got a pot of money somewhere.
I haven't found that problem yet. Still looking for it.
But does anybody else like to address the board on any issue? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.